Um, okay, this exam is an application of your theoretical knowledge to one case using three different theoretical approaches. The case and the same case will be used for the next exam too. So you can start working on the next exam as soon as we go over each theory. It's the same questions, just different theories. So case will be presented first, depicting a client named Sam. There's 3 essay questions to this exam, one for each theory. Do not copy the entire case study and put it in your paper. I know the case study. You've read the case study. Don't put it in your paper. Put the question in your paper and answer it. And another reason is Turnitin needs to score below 5%. Okay, so if Turnitin scores above 5%, rewrite something in your own words. It's got to be below 5%. So I would not use a lot of quotes. And don't quote Corey. Corey wrote a textbook. He didn't write any theories. So yeah, no quoting Corey. Let's see. What else? All right. How would you use each of these 3 theories to help this client if you were his therapist? So if you were Rogers, if you were Fritz Perls, if you were Glasser, how would you help this person? Each theory should be easily recognizable for each question. So that means if part 1 of each question is the case history, it can't be the same case history for all 3 questions. You can't write the same case history. Yeah, he's got the same dad, he's got the same mom, he did the same things, but each theory looks at his environment and uses that information in a different way. Each theory has different terminology. So each case history needs to read differently. I should read the case history in question 1, and I should know it's Rogers. I should read the case history in question 2. The terminology should tell me, oh, that's Perls. So the case history should be written completely differently. You can use terminology, you can use different things like resistances to contact. So case history should include theory. Okay, this is one of the main things. Not only should each one be recognizable with theory, but this is not undergrad. This is not an exam reviewing the theories themselves. Don't teach me the theory in your exam. Apply the theory. I don't want to read that Rogers uses empathy and genuineness and blah blah blah. No, this is not an exam about a theory. This is an application of the theory to a case. So if you're going to use those things, and remember, they're not techniques, use them and tell me what you're doing, but use them with the client. Apply them to the client. But I don't need a description of the theory. And nowhere in this question does it ask for a description of the theory. It only asks for an application of the theory. Yeah, it demonstrates your ability to apply these theories to a case. Each case essay should have 3 primary parts, each in its own paragraph. So separate them. It's not one long paragraph. So the first one, a discussion of the case using the theoretical concepts, extensive terminology, developmental outlook, if it's included, use examples applied to the client. Each theory looks at the case differently. This section is about case history and what brought the client to counseling. It's about the past. Should be about one long paragraph. The second section, this is the most important section, a discussion of a therapeutic session. It's not the first session. You're not gathering information. You already have the case history. Okay, so you're not getting to know the client. We're jumping into the issue. A discussion of a therapeutic session. Describe the session using appropriate terminology. Do not just jump to the techniques. There's so much more to include in any session before and after techniques. This does include, but it's not limited to, at least 2 techniques or interventions for each theory. Discuss how each technique is used, how it might play out in the session when used with the client. What would a brief therapeutic dialogue look like, demonstrating a technique? This section focuses on the client in the present, not the past. You're not going to talk about Sam's dad or Sam's mom. You've already discussed it in the history. You're only going to talk about Sam. This should be the longest section, takes place in the present in a session. It's 1 page. Third section, what would 8 weeks of therapy look like? And how would a treatment plan look applied to the specific client? Add anything from the theories that you think might be important in therapy. So not just techniques, more than techniques. Do not just list the theoretical attributes and techniques you'll use in future sessions. Describe how you will use them with the client. Describe how they'll be applied to the specific client, why you chose this, what is the expected growth and outcome. This focuses on the client in the future. 1 paragraph. So, for example, I might focus on the client's career in the session, but I might focus on relationships in future sessions. I might want to use WDEP applied to career in the current session. How would I apply WDEP in future sessions? I'm not just going to say, I'm going to use WDEP over the next 8 weeks. No. How would you use each component of WDEP with this specific client on the concept of relationships, for example? So you've got to, expand upon these. You can't just list what you want to do. You have to tell me how you're going to do it. All right. The case study, it's generic, but you should have enough general information for this session and answers. Only use the primary theory. Corey mentions a lot of different theories in each chapter. If we're doing Rogers, you're only going to use person-centered theory. That's it. You're not going to use expressive arts with his daughter. You're not going to use other theorists, only that theory. So don't include other theories mentioned in the book. Most likely, each answer will end up being about 2 pages for each question. Tell you about 6 pages total, not bad. Submit your exam Word document, Dropbox 2 for exam 2. You may use your book, your notes, PowerPoints. Do not use the internet. Use your own words, except when applying theoretical terminology. All right. So, any questions before we look at the case study? All right. Sam, 30-year-old male. He is physically healthy. He entered therapy with presenting problems that include minor anxiety, sadness, self-doubt, loneliness, a lack of personal meaning or purpose. Just because I said lack of personal meaning or purpose, there's no question on existentialism. Stick to the theories. He grew up as the middle child of 2 siblings. No questions about Adler. He was small for his age and was often teased by other children in school. He had a close relationship with his mother while his parents were together. They maintained what he considered old-fashioned roles. He was not sure what a modern relationship should be like, but he hoped more equal. Culture played an important role of his early family experience, but it also caused some arguments between his parents. His father was from Italy, was extremely traditional and conservative in gender roles. His mother was a mixture of cultural backgrounds and had grown up in a diverse neighborhood. She was quite progressive and independent. He did not talk about his parents' arguments outside the house. In order to avoid any arguments, his mother would often bring the father a drink immediately after work, and no one would bother the father until he had time to relax. Sam saw his role as a peacekeeper. That would be really good for a future question on family systems theory. Probably not Rogers, though. His father left the family when he was 8 years old and parents divorced. He had a sporadic relationship with his father after he left. He had some pent-up emotions toward his father, even until now. Wow, maybe we should do a role play in Pearls with his father. No, we're not talking about his father in the session. Who would we do a role play with if we're only focused on Sam? With Sam. 2 parts of Sam's personality, not the father. All right. He always thought he had to change to be accepted by his father. During his teenage years, he began to experience some anxiety. He also had stomach aches and headaches, so Freudian. He desired a dating relationship, but had difficulty connecting. He began to fear rejection and often doubted himself. He felt that no one would like him. He loved music, reading, and visiting the Museum of Natural History, especially the dinosaur exhibits. As he became an adult, he often felt sad and lonely. He still desired a relationship. He held a variety of jobs in business, and though somewhat successful, none gave him fulfillment. He wanted to go to some higher education program, but was afraid of failure. At 30, he looked in the mirror, decided he wanted a positive change in his life. He decided to come to therapy because he believed that life should have more meaning. He also wanted a healthy family of his own someday. So there's your 2 domains. You've got relationship and career. 2 areas in his life that he'd like to improve in some way. I would pick one to discuss in the session and one to discuss in future sessions. That's easy. All right, questions about the case scenario. Okay, so questions. If you were Carl Rogers, how would you apply person-centered theory in detail to this case? Include a brief dialogue if you like. Incorporate book notes, my chapter, and lectures. Number 2, if you were Pearls, how would you apply Gestalt theory in detail to this case? Include a brief dialogue if you like. You may be respectful and less sarcastic than Pearls himself. If you were Glasser, how would you apply choice theory and reality therapy with WDEP? So that's probably going to be your technique, WDEP. In detail to this case. Include a brief dialogue if you like. All right. There are included fail-safes for AI. in this. All right, so just some basic things I shouldn't have to say to grad students, but I'm going to say them anyway. You know, use a normal font like Times New Roman. Use a normal pitch like 12 pitch. Use normal margins like 1 inch APA style, double spaced, not more than double spaced, exactly double spaced. Um, you know, we don't need things like abstracts or title pages or copying the entire case study in there. Write the question down, answer the question in 3 parts. All right. I will take any questions about the exam, any at all. You can ask me about theories, about the case, about anything you want.
On either relationships or career. We don't have to do both.
Why did I give you both?
Do both.
No, you're doing one in the session and you're doing one in future sessions. There you go. Your choice, which one you do in the session.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I can tell something about it. With the dialogue, are we able, like, should we just kind of role play and be like, what would Sam say in response? Or is it
So-
like kind of up to our interpretation?
Well, I mean, so the dialogue, I would give a brief dialogue about how would you play out a technique? Like, what would a brief role play look like? What would, you know, reflection look like? What would once in WDEP look like? Just one little part. What would the dialogue be? Shelley.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask quickly. I know this is usually a question most people are not asking, but if it goes a little over, like the one paragraph or the one page or the in each section, is that okay? Or do you really want it like, you know, that's the maximum as well as the minimum?
No, that's only the minimum.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Most people go over. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, use whatever you need to answer the question, basically. So you can ask me questions about Rogers. In this case, you can ask me questions about pearls in this case. And after we're done talking about Glasser, you can ask me questions about Glasser. All right, well, think about it. Anybody online have any questions? Okay, sounds good.